I wanted to talk about memory today. So memory is this thing that we all have. We're all capable of remembering, actually almost all of us, unless you have a traumatic brain injury, you're capable of remembering, okay? And I wanted to cover this aspect because it's a mental tool that we have at our disposal that makes life far better. And yet, most of us talk about memories in ways that we convince ourselves that we don't have a memory. How many times do you hear people that are even 50, 60 years old say, I forget something, oh, I must be getting old, I'm going senile. They make these comments. When you say, I'm getting old, I've got a terrible memory, when you make those comments, what you're doing is you're telling your subconscious mind, so I'll back up a little bit. Your subconscious mind is like a search engine that's running in the background, okay? And when it's running in the background, the instructions you give it tell it what to search for. So if its job is to search and you tell it, don't bother, you're an idiot, don't bother searching, then it's going to shut off the search. So I'll give you an example with memory. This is something that I do all the time. When I forget something, I say, and if you know me at all, if you've heard me speak at all, ever, I'll say something and be like, oh, I was going to say something, it'll come back to me. What I'm saying there is look for the answer, search engine. My subconscious mind, look for the answer. And you know what? The answer does come back to me consistently. For those of you who say, I've got a terrible memory, I've got a poor memory, I'm getting old, I'm going senile, whatever it is, then what you're telling yourself is don't bother searching. You don't have the ability, don't bother. And of course you're not going to remember whatever it is you want to remember. So, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to explain how memories are formed. And this gets a little into psychobabble for you, but it's helpful, I believe. Once I do that, I'm going to give you a few really quick tips on how you can use your memory and then send you off on your way. Start practicing this, okay? So the first thing is understanding what memory is. Your memories form, long-term memory forms, by placing a strong emotion attached to a situation. So I'll give you a really quick exercise, and you can pause the video and try this out for yourself. Think about the strongest memories you have from childhood, from junior high, from high school, from your first times in relationship with your partner. Think about strong memories that you have from your work or from your first vehicle or whatever it is, okay? So start just practicing this and think about it a little bit. And this is what I'm going to guarantee, okay? What I guarantee is that all of those strongest memories are attached to strong emotions. So sometimes your memories will be horrible memories. Maybe they'll be memories of abuse or something like that. Well, guess what? They're attached to strong emotions. So that's what we remember. Or maybe you've got fantastic memories of the birth of your eldest child, or a great something that happened where you were recognized at school and you were standing on stage and everyone was clapping, whatever it is. Those are attached to strong memories. And sometimes it's something that doesn't seem really strong, but if you delve into it, you go, wait a second, I felt a certain way there. And you can usually attach become aware of the emotion fairly quickly, even if you're emotionally inept in many ways, okay? So practice this a little bit. If you don't find it right away, think about it a little bit, you will find that a memory is attached. Why do our memories do this? Actually, it's part of a feedback system that keeps us safe. So this is in your limbic system, in your subconscious mind, in your emotional brain. You can use different terms to describe this, but this part of our brain is very simple and it tries to keep us safe. So what it does is when there's something scary, and this is often the example for most people where we experience something that's kind of terrifying or scary, and we remember everything around that situation and then attach it to a future thing so that we can stay safe the next time. Okay? This has kept human beings safe for a very, very long time, and it served a great purpose. The problem now is it doesn't serve a purpose all the time. Sometimes we remember something from our past, like, I don't know, something sad that happened in a relationship or scary that happened in a relationship, and we then apply those rules to future relationships, okay? So here, that's a basic understanding of how we remember something. We also remember by attaching certain senses to a situation. So your sense of smell, your sense of touch, your sense of sight, sound, whatever it is, okay? So again, I want you to think back. Is there ever been a time where you think of you hear a certain song and you're instantly brought back to a time in the past where you're like, oh, I was sitting in the car and I was with this person and we were having a good time and our first road trip or whatever it was. There have been times where I hear a song and I go, oh, I was with my dad. because I remember times where I was hanging out with my dad as a kid. This, again, is a way that our mind remembers. So basically what I want to tell you is that there's a purpose to this, okay? And if you want to remember something, guess what you do? You attach an emotion or a sense to it. I'll give you a really quick example. Think about somebody who's really forgetful. Your short-term memory or your long-term memory, doesn't matter. What I want you to do, let's say use an example of maybe you forget your keys, where you put your keys, or you forget where you put your wallet or your purse or whatever it is. If you're forgetful in that way, or have been forgetful in the past, what I want you to do is start practicing something really odd. What I want you to do is when you put that thing down, and I want you to practice this over the next few days. Every time you put that thing down, maybe you come in from work or you come in from whatever you're doing, okay, and you put down your keys. Let's use the keys as an example. What I want you to imagine next time you put down your keys is your keys explode, okay? So I want you to actually do this. You put down your keys on the counter, and you imagine them absolutely exploding, and it takes a chunk out of the counter. Maybe there's like a little, almost like a divot in the counter from the explosion, and there's smoke, and you can smell the smoke. If you do that, this takes 3 to 5 seconds to imagine this, okay? Make it very vivid. And the more extreme it is, the better you'll remember it, okay? If you do that with your keys tonight or tomorrow, guess what? You're gonna remember where you put your keys. Even if it's 3, 4, 5, 6 days later, you remember immediately. And guess what will happen? You'll think, where did I put my keys? Immediately you'll think about the explosion and you'll remember exactly where they were. So one way to help your memory is to attach certain emotions or thoughts to it. I'll give you an example with people. If you want to remember people's names, again, there are many methods for this, okay? But if you want to remember people's names, attach a thought to it, or attach a rhyme to it, something that is odd, okay? So be careful with this, okay? Don't call people names. But think of an example. Maybe you meet somebody named Marge, okay? And when you think of Marge, the first thing you do, as soon as she tells you her name, what you do is you think of a barge. And this big, large barge. Or maybe you dress up the barge as Marge is dressed that day. Maybe she's wearing a flowery hat, or maybe she's got this really interesting dress on. And what you do is you attach those things to the barge floating around on this great river, or maybe it's swirling down a vortex or something like that. Again, crazy idea. Guess what? You will always remember this woman's name. Okay, you'll remember it years later sometimes, even if you haven't seen them for a very long time. There's also something called the memory palace. This is something, I'll let you research it on your own. I won't explain it too much here. But you can remember long speeches, word for word, what you're going to be doing, different ideas that you've got in this speech. And what you're doing, again, is attaching these really odd emotions or senses to ideas as you walk through a house. London cab drivers have used this to memorize. Look at a picture of London sometimes with Google Maps, okay? It's amazing to think about how incredible it would be to memorize every street in London. And yet London cabbies can do this. They've got a really difficult exam they have to become a cabbie. And they've got to remember a vast amount of streets, from my understanding. I've heard a number of people talk about it. And in order to do that, they often use the mind palace. So you can research this a little bit yourself. But what I want you to do is 2 things. One, I want you to change the way you talk. Change the way you talk about your memory, and you will change your memory. It sounds so weird. It makes a difference. Trust me, try it, tell me how it works, okay? And if it doesn't work, challenge me on it. Write in comments in the comment box. I'll go back and forth with you a little bit, and we can mess around with that, okay? Because I believe that you will improve your memory immediately, magically improve your memory. Your memory's always been good, okay? What you need to do is give it a chance. You need to practice it. The second thing I want you to do is things, if you struggle with memories, with phone numbers, or with names, or with your keys, or whatever it is, I want you to start experimenting with it. Use your imagination with it, okay? And actually, that's probably going to be my next talk in this series, is using your imagination, because your imagination is a fantastic tool you have, a mental tool you have to help you all along in life. Now, memories are going to help you with business. They're going to help you. When you remember details of somebody's life, do you know how much a difference does it make when somebody remembers the details of your life years after you've met them? And they ask you, hey, how's your sister? How's your dog? How's your whatever? Does that not make a fantastic impression? Well, guess what? It's going to make an impression for others when you remember things as well. So change your language, attach emotions and your senses to memories, and you will improve your memory instantly. Enjoy this practice, okay? Do this for a little while and see how it works.